this all is kind of I guess a prequel to our thoughts about the current situation in Chicago, and we're talking about South Side. Tony La Russa, Travis. It really feels like in my mind that he's next in line.
Hmm.
Girardi and Madden. I think part of the reason why they were fired, in my opinion, is the kind of old school style, and I think the teams were struggling, and the manager maybe the manager took more blame than they deserved in both situations. I'm not sure, but definitely part of the blame goes on the coaches. The Chicago White Sox are underperforming right now by a lot. If you told us 2 months into the season, 2.5 months into the season, they're going to be third place in the AL Central, which is a division we both really slept on, I think. I mean, you had some high hopes for the Twins to
Yep.
some degree, but to say that Chicago would be third, like we did not see that coming at
Yeah.
all. There's still plenty of time to salvage their season, but do you think Chicago is due for a long conversation with Tony La Russa? Could he be gone before the season is ended? What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that I think I sent you a clip today of just a awful base running miscue. Maybe it was this weekend, or it might have been from Sunday.
It was Sunday.
Sunday. Okay. Okay. I saw it today, but it was just awful base running out of, I think it was Luis Robert, and
Yeah.
extra innings against the Texas Rangers. And then today, Alex, we see Lance Lynn, and he's arguing with one of the coaching staffs in the dugout. So you just definitely know the tensions are rising in Chicago. The expectations, of course, were so high. And again, the season is so far from being over that things could really be turned around. But I think that La Russa's time in Chicago is very close to being over. Would not be surprised if he is gone before July 1st, honestly, because I just think that this season, once you basically get into July, of course, you start looking to the first couple weeks towards the All-Star break, but after the All-Star break, that's when you really need to kick things in gear. You have basically 2.5 full months left to figure it out, get to the playoffs. But right now, I think if Chicago were to miss the playoffs, that would be one of the one of the biggest upsets in Major League Baseball this year. Obviously, of course, looking at Vegas, they had one of the best odds to win a division out of any single team in all of Major League Baseball. They had the strongest odds. So that's going to be one thing that's going to be very upsetting, of course, for me, someone that put money on him. But I honestly
Travis.
think La Russa, exactly. I think La Russa, his time is very, very near to being over. And honestly, after that, it's probably a situation where La Russa is probably going to be, probably never going to be a manager again. I can't really see a team really wanting to go after him. I think that he has so much experience, and just one of the greatest coaches of all time. When you look at all time wins, he's up there. I think in the top 5. But I think right now he's just kind of getting, I would say, almost like schooled by this new style, or just kind of these other teams that are just playing a little bit smarter than he is. And honestly, again, Alex, too, you look at injuries. Lance Lynn was injured for, he basically just came back, I think, a couple weeks
Completely
ago.
agree.
Joe Kelly, he's been on the IL.
Moncada missed
Moncada
time.
as well.
Tim Anderson missed time. Eloy missed time. All I guys missed time.
So you definitely, of course, see that. And that's one side where I'll say, what, Larissa, that's right. You've had some very tough injuries to start the season in your first 60 games. But can you at least play 500 baseball, and can you at least not lose games the way you've been losing games in the past? But I honestly think that his time, 2 weeks from now, could be having the same discussion as both Joes from Philly and LA. Their time has come, and might be looking for a new manager on the south side. But that's my input on that one.
Yeah. One thing I'll add that I didn't mention earlier is there. It was almost like the Madden getting the Corey Seager intentional walk with bases loaded.
Yep.
LaRussa
right.
had LaRussa had his same moment. They're playing the Dodgers, of course. I'm sure if you're a Dodgers fan, you were probably thanking LaRussa for this one. But essentially, I think it was one man on base, man on first, 2 outs. Trey Turner at the plate, threw 2 strikes, then a passed ball. Runner advances to second. So it's a 1-2 count on Trey Turner with 2 outs. You just need one more strike. But they put him on first to get a lefty-lefty matchup against Muncy, and then Muncy hits a tank, 3-run home run.
Yeah.
So it's just so crazy that, yes, a lefty is going to probably do better against Muncy than Trey Turner, given the numbers of this season. But on his career, Muncy has been better against lefties than righties. And then also combine that with the fact that we're talking about 2 strikes to Trey Turner. You can just throw 3 balls and maybe you walk him. But why are you going to put him on with 2 strikes? He might just chase at something.
Yep.
You just throw 3 balls in the dirt. Maybe he'll, it's so wild to intentionally walk somebody with 2 strikes. And then, Muncy is no slouch, even though he did start the season pretty poorly statistically, offensively. But
really rebounded from coming back with IL.
Yeah.
He's been off to a really good tear.
He's someone who I think in his true self, when he's playing at his, not his best, not his worst, but at his kind of average level, he's an all-star. He's like an all-star caliber, utility
Definitely.
first and second baseman. If you want to face him for the matchup, that can make sense. But with 2 strikes against Trey Turner and putting him on first, because the base was open, is what he said in the post game. The craziest part was they asked him about this in the post game like multiple times, where they kept kind of like trying to figure out what was the logic there, and Russa kept kind of saying like, if you disagree with what we did, you're the crazy one, because he's like, if you look at the numbers, blah blah blah, but the numbers aren't factoring in. Like, you can see the lefty numbers for Trey versus Muncy. I get it, but with 2 strikes, everyone's batting average goes way, 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 way down, way down, because it's so easy to strike out at that point. But that for me, Travis, it's almost a nail in the coffin where I'm like, this guy can't make it through the season unless the team gets crazy hot, because they are so talented.
They are.
They have talented arms. They have talented bats. And Travis, almost the craziest thing happened again just the other day. I think it was Sunday, Sunday or Saturday or something. But it would have. I think if this happened and they lost the game, maybe he would get fired. But what was happening was, I forget who started the game, but it was who throws 100? Kopech. It was Kopech.
Yep.
He got pulled. I forget if it was injury or what happened, but he gets pulled in the first. They go to Cueto for he gives him 5 innings of nice length, but he was in the starting rotation, so that kind of takes up one of your starting spots for when you're planning for the next week ahead of you. And I guess the bullpen was way overworked from the whole series. And so they had we're running out of options, and they started warming up Cease. Can you imagine if they used 3 starting pitchers in one, and he didn't get in the game. Luckily for the White Sox. But can you imagine if you use 3 guys in your rotation in one game? It's you just ruined our next week. We're screwed now.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's a domino effect waiting to happen, where you're literally gonna go on a 2-week stretch of starting pitchers just having these unusual,
you're gonna get
breaks
a funk,
in their rotation, and that's funny you bring that up, because I'm looking right now and I see Cueto has 6 games but only 5 starts. So now I'm wondering, what game did he not start? Did he come into relief? But you told me right now that was that one. I feel like in some games you need to just kind of scrap it and say, I'd rather lose this game than set myself up for,
and it was
a week and a half.
It was a 3-3 game, and Cease was warming up. It's what is going on?
This isn't game 162, or this isn't a wild card game.
Right.
It's literally, game 64.
Right.
It's kind of crazy that you're doing that right now. But even going back to what you said, Alex, they have a good team. I'm looking at the numbers. Cease, a 3.14 ERA, Giolito, a 3.88, Kopech, a 1.92, and Cueto. Cueto was a guy that literally signed, I think, first couple weeks in the season.
Anyone could have had Cueto. Yeah.
And a 3.53 right now, and producing very, very good numbers so far. So, they definitely have the talent. It just seems like, again, that their captain of their ship is just kind of steering them in the wrong direction from getting wins. And that's, of course, what's going to be the biggest, factor in keeping your job. So that's, of course, the biggest, I guess the biggest take with my Tony Russa, job status this season.
Right. It seems like we're both kind of with a mindset that we see it as kind of inevitable, unless something goes crazy right for them, that Tony might be
Tony and Joe's.
I was gonna say he'll be looking for on the unemployment what do you call it, employment ads, but I think he's just gonna retire. I think he's gonna wrap it up, call it a career. But
I've seen some good memes, and it's managers on the tablets, and a lot of people on Twitter are always saying they're checking the Indeed the Indeed job status on.
I think that was Madden and Angels pitching coach Matt Wise, they were looking at the tablet and someone's they're on
That's
Indeed.
What it was. That's what it was. That was great. But tough. I mean, it's crazy because we got 3 teams that have such high potential, and 2 of them have already made the aggressive moves to get rid of one of them. And I think honestly, it's just a waiting game. And I feel like the White Sox, I think you go into the season saying, if we don't make the playoffs, if we don't win the division, that's a big blow. If we don't make the playoffs, that's even huger.
If they don't make the playoffs and he somehow did not get fired, there's no way you can bring him back next year. You just cannot do it.
No, exactly.
The team is headed in such a good direction where Tim Anderson this year is playing like an all-star.
Oh yeah.
Abreu's been solid. Moncada is a young star. Luis Robert is a really young superstar. Like he's on that kind of trajectory. If
young
you can
Jake Berger.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of young names.
So.
There's young names to like, and then Kopech, of course. The list goes on of young talent, up and coming talent, and of course they paid big bucks for a big time closer in Hendricks, who you want to use in the postseason, but they got to get there first. So,
presented by Tool Tools Podcast.